listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. Today's is brought to us by Marla Sue Rose, who writes on iTunes. I'm laughing already at the first sentence. Okay, since I learned that leaving an iTunes review is the surest way to get Jeanette to record a new episode, I thought writing one was the least I could do, especially since this podcast has been so helpful and meaningful to me. In fact, I appreciate LOA Recon so much. This is the first review I've ever left for a podcast. Yay! Thank you, Marla Sue Rose. Jeanette has an affinity for simplifying the LOA process without being simplistic. That's a nice compliment. Thank you. Offering lay people and seasoned conscious creators alike access to building the lives they want to live, instilling everything with her infectious, in a good way, joie de vivre and enthusiasm, but never skimping on know-how. I leave every episode, long and short, feeling that much closer to understanding. I just got to tell you, Marla Sue Rose, this is a fabulous review. I'm like only halfway through this. I'm like, this is the first review you've ever left? It's amazing. Thank you. Okay, so I leave every episode, long and short, feeling that much closer to understanding on a cellular level how to manifest our birthright. All right, if I'm not careful, I'm going to get emotional reading this. Feeling good along with more familiarity. I mean, this is why I do this. This is why I do this. This is my intention, that it lands like this. Okay, maybe I can't finish reading this. I'll try. Through listening to her podcast, I have sharpened my conscious creation game. Yay! And I feel I am just in the beginning of knowing where this will lead. Oh, I agree. Many thanks to Jeanette for helping to break down this access in such a common sense, fun, and compassionate way. Last, I want to say that I love that Jeanette spends so much of her time gushing about animals. Oh my gosh, I've been sitting here waiting for like literally 8 minutes for Fairy Kitty to leave because she wouldn't stop rubbing up against the microphone. I was like, you can only stay if you don't do that, and she kept doing it. Okay, her animals and her rescue work. While I get that this work brings her joy, thus it makes sense that a conscious creator would direct her attention at this. So many people in realm of self-help do not seem to care much about the world around them. I appreciate that Jeanette is not just a navel gazer, and her palpable joy at making the world a better place is something she is willing to model to her listeners as a great example. Here I thought of all these kitties as interruptions. No, we're modeling as a great example of uplifting others as we live our best lives. Wow. Thank you, Jeanette. Here's your 5-star review. Thank you so much. Frankly, if there were more stars, I'd give them to you. Hello. Thank you for that review. And you're making me wish for just a single little second here that we were doing these on video, because guess what I've got downstairs? I just scored. Look at me, scored. I'm not going to say rescued. Rescued has a connotation around the word that's like someone was in trouble and needed help. And this story kind of sounded like that. She was a community cat. She got trapped, taken into the shelter, the county shelter, for a spay surgery. They spay them, they give them vaccinations, and they tip their ear. So they tip their ear so everyone knows this is a cat, part of a managed colony. And they went in to go do the spay surgery. I didn't actually intend to start this episode with this, but I want to paint the picture of the beautiful kittens that are in my basement right now. They're in the kitten room. They knew she was pregnant. They do this all the time. There's so many kittens. It sounds horrifying to me. I always raise my hand. Like, if anyone's got a pregnant cat, I can foster a pregnant cat, but they spay them all the time. And they spayed this girl. They didn't realize how pregnant she was. And the kittens were like fully formed. So there was a technician who resuscitated them. And mom was knocked out for her surgery, right? So there's no one could do anything. But the vet tech did. And she resuscitated him, and she took him home, and she fed him while mom was recovering. And the next day they called for foster. And that was me. I got to go pick up the mom and 3 kittens. I do have pictures and video on my Facebook page if anyone wants to see them. They're so adorable. You might be hearing more about them because this is a start to finish gig. They were born on Monday, whatever Monday was, April 8th. And that's like 2 months before, maybe even 10 weeks before they get surgery. So I got a lot of kitten playtime coming up. Okay, you know what I wanted to talk about today? Oh, it's this thing. I think of it as this thing that happened to me. It's kind of making me a little bit annoying lately. It's happened several times where I've been in conversation with sometimes with family members, sometimes with friends, sometimes with clients, where someone says something like, along the lines of they're not living the life they prefer, that there's something wrong, they can't get their act together, this thing isn't working out. It's like they've got some sort of a negative reflection on their life. And I'm so annoying ever since I watched The Scapegoat for the second time. It's not the first time I saw the movie, but I had forgotten that I watched it. And I started it the other night, and I remembered how much I loved it. So I watched it again. And I don't know if you've seen it. Oh, you might not want to listen to this episode if you want to watch a cool show. I really, really, really like that show. So if you'd like to go enjoy that show and be surprised by what happens, maybe stop listening right now, because my whole episode is about this movie and how we can relate it to our lives as conscious creators. So in the movie, there's a guy, he works as like a teacher. He's at a boys' school. It takes place in like the 1950s in England. And he teaches Greek, and he just got fired. He got replaced by someone who's going to teach them conversational French or something. And as he's leaving the school, you just kind of get the sense this guy doesn't have a lot going for him. Like, he doesn't have family to go to. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't appear to have any money. He leaves the school with a backpack. That's all his stuff is a backpack. And the headmaster, who's, shaking his hand goodbye, thanking him for his work, asks what he's going to do. And he's like, oh, a walking tour. I'm like, I think that means he's homeless. He doesn't have anywhere to go. No car, nothing. Okay, so here he is. Got nothing. Just got fired. Not feeling real fab about life, although he should be feeling fabulous because he's a super hot actor. He's the guy that plays the husband in The Americans. Oh boy. So he goes to the local pub, and while he's there, he sees a guy it's his doppelganger. It's a guy that looks just like him. It freaks him out so much he follows him to the bathroom. And then the other guy sees him. They're tripping out on each other. They look exactly the same. And this other guy has a very different circumstance in life. He appears to be exceptionally wealthy, very privileged. He's used to the good life, and he's got a little something up his sleeve with our teacher, who is unsuspecting. And the way they do this in the movie, it sounds unbelievable, but they actually do a really good job of showing you how it is that the rich guy, he lights out, and he leaves the teacher in his place to deal with what he looks at his horrible life. Because he's not rich. His family has a business that is not doing well. They have this enormous castle on these beautiful grounds, but it turns out they've sold all the land. All the paintings in the place are fake because they've needed the money. And he's responsible for this whole failure. Like, his dad gave him, a thriving business, and he's just ruined everything, and he feels terrible. Oh, plus the guy has a wife and a child and a sister and a mom and a brother-in-law. He's got a family, and he hates his life. He absolutely, he hates it so much that he was already thinking about like running away from it. And then he meets his doppelganger, and he's like, oh, I'm going to leave this guy holding the bag. And that's exactly what happens. So this guy wakes up, and he's like, again, it sounds unbelievable, but they actually do it really well in the show. So this guy shows up, the teacher shows up in this other guy's life, and he's kind of bewildered. He's trying to explain to people, no, I'm not who you think I am, but they're of course not buying it because it looks exactly like him, and it would be just like him to try to, mess things up. So they kind of like, he finds himself in this life that this was so bad that the other guy ran away from it. I'm going to try not to cry as I tell this story. So he picks up the pieces. He picks up the thread of what needs to be done, like to try and put things back together. And he's doing a decent job of it, even though this guy has destroyed relationships, destroyed trust and faith and confidence and integrity. The other guy he made a terrible mess of everything. Like, you'd think this stuff can't be repaired. Yeah, you can understand why that guy would want to run away. It's terrible, terrible mess. But the teacher steps in, and he's working it out. He's making it happen. And all he sees when he walks into this life, he sees it so differently than the other guy did. This is why I love this story so much. He sees that this guy had everything. This guy had everything, and he tells the story because he's a Greek teacher. He tells his mom, it's not his mom, but his mom thinks it's his mom, and she's like a morphine addict. He tells his mom that the story of, I don't remember who it was in Greek mythology, but someone, his punishment was to sit at a buffet table, like it was a feast of abundance of every possible good thing you would ever want to eat, and this guy is starving. But every time he reaches for something to eat, a harpy flies in and takes it away, so he can't eat anything, even though he's sitting at this table, this feast of abundant treats and food. And the guy says to his mom, the teacher says to his mom, he says, "You guys are sitting at the table. You're sitting at the table and starving." Meaning, like, he can see how blessed they are to have each other, to have a family, to have this amazing house, to have a business, to have a community. You know, all the workers in this little village depend on this business for their livelihood. And he not only sees it differently, he handles it differently. He takes different action. And he puts it together. So the other guy who, he ran away, but he needed some more money. So I guess he figured something he could come back and steal. Oh, he came back to steal his mom's morphine. And I assume he was going to sell it because I don't think he was doing drugs himself. Anyway, he comes back and then he sees, oh my gosh, his wife, he's sleeping in bed with his wife because they weren't sleeping together before. The only reason he married that wife, okay, I don't need to tell you all the details. The point being, the one guy is in the very same life, hating it, thinking it's a miserable failure, nothing good can come from this. A stranger steps in and sees it for the perfection that it is. Well, I mean, it's not perfect, but there's potential here. And he does his very best, and he does a really good job of turning everything around. So when Abraham says, "Every moment contains everything," I love that quote so much. I wish I could find the original of it, and I would play it for you right now if I had my hands on that. But I heard them say once, every moment contains everything, and it's just a matter of what are you going to pull out of it? What are you going to see? What is your vibration? That's what dictates what your experience of this moment is. Every moment contains everything. I have so many examples of that in my own life. The most recent one, listen to this. So guess I'm in a little storytelling mode today. It's my blog. I'll try and tell you the short version. It's 2 years ago. I start hearing Google doesn't like websites that aren't mobile friendly. It's no worries. I got a mobile plugin. Well, guess what? That works for a minute, but eventually Google said, yeah, it's not gonna fly. Got to be for real mobile friendly. Dang, you know what that means? That means a website makeover. That's not my highest joy. I like that about as much as I like moving. But I do not want to be on the outs with Google. So, did you notice that? I did a website makeover, not out of inspiration and joy, but out of resistance, out of fear, out of not wanting. It was from a don't want place. I didn't want Google to ignore me or to forget me or to not love me. So I hire a designer. She does my website makeover. Ta-da, that should solve my problem for I should get good traffic again. No, it's worse, and it's worse for like 2 months. And I'm like, I don't like this. Freaking out a little, talking to a couple of people are like, that's totally normal. That's what happens after you do a makeover. your traffic drops for the first month or two. Don't sweat it, Jeanette. It'll come back. Well, guess what? A year later, it hasn't come back. A year later, it has not come back. It's just, if you saw the graph I was looking at, it's a pretty steady decline. This is not my highest joy. So I tell my VA, I'm like, this isn't why we did this. Let's fix this. She's got some ideas, but they're far down on our to-do list. It's not getting handled. And the traffic isn't fixing itself. I keep thinking, maybe just over time it will. No, it's not fixing itself. So I hope I don't forget why I was starting to tell this story. So then, I hire the other SEO guy. I mentioned this story, like in the other episode, I think. I hire a new SEO guy. Well, I was hiring a tech guy. Turns out he does SEO too. And I say, hey, by the way, I got an SEO problem. Can you take a look? He looks at it. He's like, yeah, you do. And he says, X, Y, and Z, doing this, that, and the other wrong. I'm like, well, let's fix it. And he starts to, but his fix, I'm like horrified. I'm like, oh, actually, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. We got all this set up in a very particular way. And he's like, well, you got to change this in order for it to work for your SAO. And I said, you know what? Let me think on it for a minute. So I just made notes instead of letting him do it myself. I made notes about what needed to be done because I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. I'm not going to sacrifice the design or the layout or anything in order for Google to like me. I'm going to have both, but I don't know how that's going to happen right now. So he can't fix anything. And in the meantime, my statistics make me mad every time I look at them, which I try not to very often. And I eventually just got so frustrated with it because, over a year later, here I am, still mad. Why was I telling this story again? It was because, oh yeah, every moment contains everything. I remember. Okay, so I finally get frustrated. I'm just tired of being mad about my statistics. I'm tired of not knowing how to fix it. I'm tired of trying. And I just decide, forget it. You know what? Who cares about statistics anyway? That's not, you know what I care about? I care about what Marla Sue Rose just shared on iTunes. Oh my gosh, that's what I care about. Okay, I hadn't read this review until just now, but that's what I care about. I don't care about statistics. I don't. What I care about is that I deliver work that I'm proud of to people that it makes a big difference for, and that I feel good about it, you feel good about it, we have a good time doing it, and everyone's well rewarded for it. That's what I care about. No one cares about statistics. No one does. So I have that thought. And in Tony Robbins' language, with that thought right there, what I just did was I got my attention off the wall and back onto the track. I was staring at what I didn't want, and I was staring at it for a long time. Okay, but then I was like, who cares about statistics? And the only reason I said who cares was because I couldn't figure out how to fix them. So this is what I do want. Got my attention shifted, and shortly after I got my attention shifted, I had the thought, those statistics probably weren't accurate anyway. They're notoriously hard to track. It probably isn't even what you thought it was. That's what I said. Had that little thought, that dismissive thought, like what you thought you were looking at probably wasn't even that. Okay, then guess what? My regular VA, she comes back to work. And the first thing she says to me is, Jeanette, about your SEO. Because I had, in the meantime, while she was out, I'd emailed her saying, hey, take SEO off our to-do list because I hired a guy. We're working on it. Well, when we talk again to my regular VA, she's like, about your SEO. And I'm like ready to stop her and say, don't even say it to me. I don't even want to talk about statistics. And, that's what she was saying. She said, about your statistics. And I was like so over it, I almost stopped her. But she went on to say that she started quoting me statistics. She's like, your unique views have doubled. Your something or other has tripled. Your bounce rate has improved. Like everything, she's looking at all these different numbers. I wasn't even looking at all that stuff. And what she's sharing with me is that while I thought it was going downhill. No, it was doing not just fine. It was doing fabulous all along. And I didn't even know it. I didn't know it. Remember, every moment contains everything. It could be sucky or it could be fabulous, but you got to dial off sucky in order to experience the fabulous. I didn't even do that to get to fabulous. I just did it because I was tired of being frustrated about it. But that little shift of, you know what, who cares about statistics? What I really want is redirecting attention and then finding that little thought, those statistics probably weren't even right anyway. And the universe ran with that thought, or it was way ahead of me. Maybe I was just catching up with it. And then here's Laura saying, girl, it's actually really, really, really good. So when I hear someone say they're in the middle of something awful, I can't help but think of that super hottie actor. What's his name? I don't know his name. Oh, so he's a heartthrob. I don't usually gush like that, but who he played, the guy he played, the teacher, the version of the teacher, not the other guy. When he played the teacher, you just couldn't help but fall in love with him. You couldn't help but fall in love with a guy who could walk into someone else's pile of crap and see the feast. He could see the feast. I don't know if you like that story as much as I do, but I'm going to thank you for listening. And if you get a chance to watch the movie, I think I caught it on Netflix. I don't think it was Amazon Prime. I think it was Netflix. Anyway, I liked it. And remember, every moment contains everything. Maybe every movie contains everything. Maybe you like it as much as I did. All right, I'm going to stop now. Thanks for listening. Happy manifesting, everyone.